Hi there YouTube, it's John McCann at TechRadar and I've got the Samsung Galaxy S7, Samsung's latest flagship phone. I've been spending several days with it already and I'm going to take you through our full review. It's got the same size 5.1 inch QHD display as the S6, so in terms of size and resolution it's the same as its predecessor, but Samsung has made improvements. The brightness is increased, the contrast is better, and overall it gives you a much better experience. Hold it side by the S6 and yes, there's not a huge amount of difference, but Samsung has stepped things up so your eyes are in for even more of a treat. Moving inside the handset, and we've got a couple of variants actually of the S7. One variant has the Exynos 8890 processor, which is a Samsung built chip, whereas another version, which is available in North America, comes with the Snapdragon 820. Now, there is a slight performance difference if you run benchmarks on them, but day-to-day experiences means you won't really notice much different. You've still got a very powerful handset in your hand. Both variants come with 4 GB of RAM, so there's plenty going on under the hood. Samsung's excellent fingerprint scanner returns beneath the physical home key, and if you turn the screen off, Samsung's new feature is it's always on display. Now, this only zaps less than 1% per hour, and from my time with the handset, it doesn't actually affect total battery life too much. So actually, it's a rather nice feature to have. And you can see it's showing your time, your date, your battery life, and you can have a nice little color background behind it, but there are a couple of other options if you want to change it up. So at the moment, I've got the clock content to show, but you can change that to a calendar or just an image, although the image is a bit odd because you only get 3 set ones that Samsung have created. None of them are particularly enticing and they take up the whole screen rather than the other two, which only take up a portion of the screen, so they'll be more power intensive and thus a little pointless. Another disappointment is the calendar setting. It shows you the whole month, but it doesn't tell you any appointments on any particular days, so actually it gives you very little in terms of visuals. So I find the clock option far easier. It's simple, it tells me what I need to know, and also it will tell you if you've got any new text messages or any new missed calls. Something I would like to see though is notification icons for everything else. WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, game icons. I don't need information, I just want the icons along here. Samsung has opened up the API to developers, so it's put the onus on them rather than itself to develop these icons for the always on display, and hopefully people will get onto that pretty soon. Going back into the phone, and the Samsung Galaxy S7 is running Android Marshmallow 6.0.1. That's the latest software from Android, but of course, in true Samsung fashion, it's coated it in its own TouchWiz UI. This time round though, it's lighter, it's cleaner, it's fresher, it's just a little bit more usable and a bit more friendly on the eye. There's far fewer bundled apps. Yes, you get Microsoft Suite, which you can't actually uninstall, but you can disable to hide them from view. You get a handful of Samsung apps, but most of them are actually quite useful. Voice recorder, voice commands, S-Health, and they all hide away in the app drawer under a folder, so they're relatively inoffensive. They don't take up a huge amount of space, and inside the Samsung Galaxy S7 you get 32 GB of storage. There's no 64 or 128 versions like there was with the S6, but what you do get here, and you didn't get on the previous version, is a micro SD card slot. Yes, Samsung has brought it back, which will be music to some people's ears, allowing you to build on that storage by up to 200 GB. In terms of design, the S7 looks very much like the S6 from last year. Samsung hasn't changed its winning design, but it has made a few adjustments to make it even better. The bezel around the side is less bulbous. Around the back, the edges are now curved, so it sits far more comfortably in the hand. That makes it even easier to hold, it makes it a lot easier to move your finger around the screen, and it just makes it feel more secure. All in all, it's just a lovely phone to hold. Something else Samsung has done in the design department is reduce that volcanic camera bulge that you got on the S6. There is still a slight raise here, but it's only 0.46mm, making it far more flush against the phone, and it's a look that I much prefer. There's more good news in the battery department of the Samsung Galaxy S7. Samsung's upped the size from a measly 2,550 milliamps in the S6 to a 3,000 milliamp battery in the S7. It's also improved charging speeds, both wired and wirelessly. Plug into Samsung's own quick charge adapter and you'll be able to regain 25% of your life in just 15 minutes and about half of it in 30 minutes. A full charge from flat I found took around an hour and 15 minutes, which is still pretty quick. In terms of how long that battery will last, the Samsung Galaxy S7 will easily last a full day, even with pretty heavy usage. Now that's an improvement on the S6, which was usually sort of running out of juice by early evening and sending us dashing for the charger. There is much improvement here on the S7. So the Samsung Galaxy S7 has plenty of power. You've either got the Exynos or the Snapdragon processor inside, plus 4 GB of RAM, which means everything is nice and smooth. You can move around apps, go into multitasking, and download stuff really nice and quickly. It's a lovely experience. A really good example is if you launch up a game, Real Racing 3 for example, a graphically intensive game, but one which is really fun to play on the Samsung Galaxy S7. One of the big new features on the Samsung Galaxy S7 is its new game launcher, a handy little tool which appears in your game, and you press it and you get a variety of options. You can record footage to share later on social networks, you can take a screenshot of your action, you can minimize the game so it stays running in the background but you can quickly launch it again without having to reload anything. You can lock the keys at the bottom of the screen, which is a really handy feature so you don't accidentally press back in the middle of a race and then you suddenly lose. And the top one is also really handy. No alerts during the game, so you don't get a big notification bar come down over the gameplay area and potentially ruin something that you're playing on. It's a lovely little feature. You can turn it off if you find it all a bit annoying, but it's one of the big things that Samsung's pushing for the phone, and it is very nice. The last big feature of the Samsung Galaxy S7 is its camera. Now, it's following the footsteps of an excellent snapper from the Samsung Galaxy S6, a camera we branded best in the market, so it's got a lot of work to do. And first up, it's reduced the megapixels from 16 to 12, which may seem like a bit of a misstep, but actually there is a good reason behind it. Samsung's kept the sensor size the same while reducing the number of pixels, which means each individual pixel is now bigger, allowing in more light. That in turn allows for far better low light photography, and I can tell you it really does work. Loading up the camera app, and it's a pretty basic affair from first looks, but in true Samsung fashion there are plenty of modes to play with. You've got the auto mode, which is excellent for day-to-day snaps. If you're not too bothered about fine-tuning anything, the auto mode will be able to take what you've got in front of you and turn out some really impressive photography. If you do like to tinker with your snaps, go into Pro mode, and there are plenty of options here to play with to really fine-tune what you're doing. I can't stress just how impressed I have been with this camera. I've taken it out and about in London during the day, during the night, and it's taken some cracking photos. One photo I'm really impressed with is this shot of St. Paul's. Now, it looks really well lit up, but actually the church itself wasn't this well illuminated. A lot of the work here was done by the Samsung Galaxy S7. This was taken at night when it was pretty dark outside, and yes, there were a few lights lighting it up, but the Samsung Galaxy S7 has just enhanced that across the board. It's hard to show just over a video like this. You've really got to go out and try it. All in all then, the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S7 is superb. If you're looking for a top smartphone with an excellent camera, look no further, this has got it all. Let's not forget the front-facing camera. Samsung stuck with the same 5 megapixel option that it's had on the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S5. Obviously, it's not a key focus for it. Beauty mode is back and is as aggressive as ever. There's also a front-facing flash to light up your lovely face in darker situations, and it's perfectly serviceable, great for a video chat or a quick selfie, but the real shooting prowess is around the back. So there you have it, the Samsung Galaxy S7, a really top-notch flagship smartphone. The waterproof body gives it an extra layer of ruggedness. The curved back means it sits better in the palm and is even easier to use one-handed. There's plenty of power under the hood. The display is great, the camera is superb, and the game launcher is a really nice feature for those who like to mobile game. The inclusion of 32 GB of storage is a bit of a kick in the teeth to some maybe, especially when 8 GB of the storage is taken up by the system memory, but the return of the micro SD slot to Samsung's flagship line will really be music to people's ears, and only to build on that by 200 GB. It's also good to note that battery life is much improved over the S6, but you're still not going to get much more than a day out of it. Don't go expecting a day and a half or 2 days. With slightly less moderate use, then yeah, a day and a half is possible, but you're still going to be wanting to plug this in every night. So, is it worth the upgrade? Well, obviously that depends on what you have. If you have the Samsung Galaxy S5 or any other phone from 2 years ago and you want a new flagship, this will blow you away. The changes are marked and it's just an excellent piece of kit all round. If you have the S6 though, it's less of an incentive, although it does put a lot of the wrongs from the S6 right to make an even sleeker package, making it really tempting even if you are only a year into your Samsung S6 contract. So, summing up the Samsung Galaxy S7, I'd say it's iterative perfection. It takes the best bits of the S5 and the S6, blends them together for an excellent smartphone experience. Thank you very much for watching. That's our full Samsung Galaxy S7 review. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment below and tell us what you think of the Samsung Galaxy S7.